In a quiet suburban neighborhood, life moves on peacefully. The air is filled with laughter, the sound of kids playing, and neighbors going about their day. A calm suburban street. Families are outside, kids ride bikes, and a man waters his garden as a small dog darts across the road. The sun shines brightly, casting a warm glow over the neighborhood. The camera pans to Sarah, our main character, stepping out of her house, preparing for work, unaware that today will change everything. Far from here, a warning has sounded. A virus, unknown and silent, has begun to spread. Today, it will reach these streets, and nothing will ever be the same. The faint sound of sirens echoes in the distance as Sarah gets into her car. Inside Sarah's living room, the TV hums softly in the background. The camera. Inside Sarah's living room, the TV hums softly in the background. The screen shows a calm news anchor delivering a standard report. The words "mysterious illness" and "aggressive behavior" scroll across the news ticker at the bottom. They pass by, unnoticed. Reports were circulating. Strange illnesses, people falling ill, turning violent, but no one was paying attention. It felt distant, unreal, until it wasn't Sarah. Glances at the TV. Uninterested, she grabs her keys, switches off the TV, and steps out into the bustling streets, unaware of how close the danger is. Sarah walks through the busy city streets, just another face in the crowd. Ahead, she notices a group gathered, watching something. As she nears, she sees a man on the ground, twitching violently. His body moves unnaturally, while the crowd stands back, some recording. One man stood out, convulsing, his movements wrong, inhuman. No one moved to help, until it was too late. Suddenly he stops, then lunges at a nearby person. Chaos erupts as the crowd screams. That was the moment the world began to fall apart. Chaos erupted all around Sarah. Her heart pounded in her chest as she stumbled backward, eyes wide with shock. The infected man lunged at another helpless bystander, sending the crowd into frenzied panic. People screamed, their fear palpable, as cars swerved uncontrollably. Sarah pushed through the masses, desperate to escape, weaving through side streets as the city fell apart. Panic swept the streets like a relentless storm. There was no direction, only the instinct to run. Sarah ducked into a narrow alley, trembling hands fumbling for her phone. She dialed Jake's number, but no answer came. She kept moving, slipping through the labyrinth of alleys, determined to reach her brother. Sarah turned the corner and froze, her heart racing. In front of her, a zombie crouched over a lifeless body, its flesh hanging loose, its face smeared with blood. It was no longer human, just a grotesque shell driven by hunger, their eyes locked, empty, and soulless. The face of the virus. The world had changed in an instant. The creature staggered toward her, and panic took over. Sarah ran, her footsteps echoing in the narrow alley, but the terror stayed with her. This was just the beginning. Many more would follow. This version retains the tension while fitting your line limit. Let me key in. Disoriented but determined, Sarah stumbles out of the alley. Sirens and distant screams echo through the collapsing city around her. The world was unraveling. Through the chaos, she spots her brother's apartment building. The streets are filled with panic, but Sarah pushes forward, heart pounding. She didn't know what was happening, but one thing was clear. She couldn't face this alone. She had to reach Jake. Maybe he had answers? Sarah reaches the entrance of his apartment. She races up the stairs, breath heavy, and bursts through his door. Inside, Jake was already moving fast, stuffing supplies into a bag. When Sarah burst through the door, he looked up, startled. His apartment was a mess. Food, gear, and random items scattered everywhere. He hadn't just been preparing. He'd been expecting this. Jake had always been a bit paranoid, the type to over-prepare for disasters that never came. But today, it wasn't paranoia. Today, it was real. Jake tosses Sarah a bag, his movements quick, almost frantic. He grabs more supplies, cramming them into backpacks without a second thought. A knock at the door broke the silence. It was their neighbor, Paul, a man in his 60s, visibly shaken and struggling to catch his breath. Without a word, he stepped inside, shutting the door quickly behind him, as if trying to lock out the horrors from outside. It wasn't just Sarah and Jake. The entire building had heard the screams, witnessed the chaos. Paul, like everyone else, came searching for something. Safety, answers. Paul moved to the window, peering out at the crumbling world beyond. Fires blazed in the distance, and the streets teemed with panic. But there were no answers, only survival. And for now, that would have to be enough. The three of them, Sarah, Jake, and Paul, stood silently by the window, eyes fixed on the city unraveling before them. Sirens wailed in the distance, and the distant roar of chaos filled the air. The world outside was descending into madness, and they could do nothing but watch. Day zero had come and gone. The world they knew had vanished, replaced by something dark and terrifying. Now only survival remained, for as long as they could hold on. The camera slowly pulled back, revealing the small, quiet apartment amidst the crumbling city.